What is up, Flick fans, and welcome back to my channel. I just watched Netflix's brand new movie, The Kissing Booth. Yeah, it's been about 2 weeks since I've been able to actually do a legitimate Netflix review. I was out of town last weekend, but we're coming back strong with The Kissing Booth. This film is directed by Vince Marcello and stars Joey King as our lead. And the story is simple. It's about a high school student who is forced to confront her secret crush at a kissing booth. You guys can kind of see where this story is headed. If you guys don't know how my reviews work, I like to talk about the good, the bad, and then give you my score. Let's start with the good. Alright, so I'm going to start out really kind of straight up with you guys. This is not the kind of movie that is going to appeal to somebody like me. This is a high school teen romance, one of those films that just kind of, it appeals to a very select audience. So there is going to be people that fall in love with this movie and love everything about it. But I'm not in high school. I'm a 22-year-old man. I've kind of grown out of films like these. Now, if you bring me something with fantastic acting, a script that is different, a great coming-of-age story, if you will, then that is going to appeal to me. But this, to me, just kind of seemed like a low-budget movie, not the best actors in the world, and a plot that just, I didn't get too much out of it. But since we're talking about the good, I will start off with this. This movie did make some twists and turns in here that kind of surprised me, caught me off guard, and I actually ended up watching it all the way through the end. I was like, you know what? I was expecting something much worse, and because of that, I can say that The Kissing Booth is worth watching if you're a fan of films like these. Now, if you don't like movies like these, and you click on A Kissing Booth, first of all, I don't know what you're doing, and second of all, I don't think you're going to get a lot out of it. But if you like these high school dramas with some comedy and a bit of romance, then you are going to absolutely eat this thing up. And a positive that I can give it for sure is it took a lot of chances, and I didn't expect that. It started out kind of reminding me of something that would be on the Disney Channel, and I'm like, you know what, I've seen this 1,000 times before, and I don't want to see it again. But then it starts doing some things that are a little bit more adult, and I'm like, wow, it's on Netflix, so I guess they can do stuff like this, but it is very accurate to what teens go through today, and I appreciate it and respect the fact that you can bring us something that kind of reflects society more in 2018 than it did in 2005. And I'm saying that because teens are just going to do stuff that's gross and weird and outlandish, and they're going to have sex, and they're going to do this, and they're going to do that, and we can't, as adults, I'm not saying I'm an adult, I'm still more of a kid, but we can't stop them from doing things like that. So I like how this movie accurately portrayed that they are going to go off and they're going to do things that maybe adults aren't going to be happy about. I also thought the relationships were pretty decent here. Elle and Lee, they had a great friendship, and I really bought them all the way through. Now, the twists and turns that I was talking about earlier, I expected one thing to happen with those two characters, and it never happened. And the entire time, I'm like, all right, they're going to do this. This is going to happen with their characters. No spoilers, but it caught me off guard, the route that they went down. Now, that specific route, I'm like, okay, they're doing things here that I've seen before, but I just thought they were going to go in a different direction, and I like the fact that it caught me off guard. Some of these Netflix movies are just straight up a waste of time. This wasn't a waste of time. Now, saying that it's not necessarily a waste of time is not a negative, but it's not something I'm going to write home to Mom about and say, hey, Mom, I watched this movie today, and it didn't waste my time. And since we're talking negatives, I think my biggest problem with this movie were some of the supporting characters. There are 3 girls in this film, and every time they are on screen, and I'm not necessarily blaming the acting, I'm blaming every word that spewed out of their mouth because it was the most annoying and ridiculous and dumb thing I have ever seen. It is the most cliched attempt at a clique of girls that personally I have seen in a Netflix movie in a long time, and that was just, oh, it frustrated me. And even some of the lines from our lead characters, every now and then they would say something and I'm like, just, you had to say that. And not necessarily you had to say that, but you said it like that. I don't think the director did a really great job of bringing the actors and actresses together and building their relationships through dialogue. I just think the performances kind of shone through that. Also, you have Molly Ringwald in here, and she was barely in the film. You have to use her. Use your big guns, man. And there were just some side characters and side plots that they focused on a little bit too much, and their storylines were just kind of, they're there because they needed to be there, and the director wanted to throw them in just to give a little wink to the audience, and I was just like, that was... the movie was too long. It was way too long. It could have been an hour and 10, 15 minutes. Instead, it was an hour 45, and it just felt like it dragged a little bit too often. And yes, some of the dialogue and the line delivery is absolutely terrible, but that's what you're going to get when you're watching a movie like this that isn't going to take some major chances. You're going to get exactly what you expect and exactly what you pay for, even though it's a Netflix film. So here's what I'm going to say. If you guys like movies like this, if you dig the high school teen dramas, you need to watch this film as soon as possible because I think you're going to get a lot out of it. As for me, I like things like this when they take chances. There's great directing. They feel a little bit more independent. This one kind of felt a tad bit cliched, but like I said, it did sort of exceed my expectations. All that being said, I am going to give The Kissing Booth a 50%, and maybe that's being a tad bit too generous because some of the lines in here were just plain awful. But just the fact that it managed to surpass my expectations makes it, in my head, a better movie than it maybe actually is. And because of that, I'm going to give it a 50. It is definitely not a movie that is in fresh territory. But like I said, if you're a fan of these kinds of films, especially if you're thinking strictly Netflix, because I feel like the appeal here is a little bit different than it normally should be, you definitely need to check this one out. So thank you guys so much for watching my video. Next week is X-Men week. I just had Avengers week because of Infinity War, and I'm going to be doing so much Deadpool and X-Men related content. I can't wait, and then following that up is Star Wars week. You guys are the absolute best, and I will catch you very soon.